Okay, so welcome everybody to Trello Your Way to Real Estate Glory, which is such a great title courtesy of ChatGPT, my new best friend at work and in life. The idea, again, is for us all to be able to come together and sort of show how we're using Trello, or, maybe you're not quite using it yet, but you want to start using it. And so we're just going to sort of explore what works, why it's been such a successful tool for real estate teams in particular, I think. And so we'd love to encourage you, if you do use it, if you're willing to screen share and kind of show how you set up your Trello, because there are lots of different ways to peel this orange. And I know we can all learn from each other. Same time, I know a lot of us are operations professionals and we're a little bit on the reserved side. Kathleen Metcalf always makes fun of me because the first time we did one of these, or I think we did a Facebook Live about one of our master classes, I was like bright red and splotchy all down my neck. My nervous system thought there was like an actual tiger in the room. And I was shaky and I was so awkward. So if you feel even a little bit less nervous than that and you're willing to share, we'd love to hear. Totally get it. No pressure. Just, this is a safe space. Some of the nerdiest people I know and love. And so let's just have some fun together. All right, so maybe I'll get started. Trello, why do we love it? There are lots of different project management tools that we can use specifically for real estate, or just sort of more generally like a Monday, Asana, and then some of the more specific tools like Sisu or Follow Up Boss has its own, kind of task management system. What we really like about Trello in particular is the visual aspect of it. So it's designed to be like a series of Post-it notes, digital Post-it notes kind of in a row. And so with it, there's all kinds of things you can play with images and links. And it's just really satisfying how you can move pieces or tasks like through a workflow all the way to the end. The visual representation of that seems to lend itself really well to a real estate transaction. And it has the benefit of you could also use it for other types of projects. So I'm going to show you what we've created as kind of a template for real estate teams. And then we'd love to talk also about like how it could be used for marketing or other project management. So I'm going to go ahead. Hi, Selena. I see you hopped on the call as well. So
I am hiding my face.
do it. We're we're all here to share or not share. It's all super good. And I think Selena, you're newish to Trello. Yes?
I've used it in the past, but not with any like high level details. So I'm familiar, but I feel like I'm definitely going to learn more.
Yeah, perfect. And so the idea here is like none of us are really experts, but we all have a way of using it if we do use it that's just really fun to share. Okay, so here comes Angela. So this is a board that we created as a template that we like to use to show people who might be interested in setting up Trello for their real estate business. The idea is that you can create a template card that has all of the different steps in your workflow, all the tasks that have to happen. And then when you get a new property, you can just create a card from that template. So like a lot of people are joining, guys. This is a hot topic for sure. It's very exciting. Um, Basically, once you've built out your templates, you can create a card per property, and then you just pull over your workflow, so you don't have to recreate the checklist every time. So, hi, Carrie. Hi, Angela. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so this is an example of, a listing checklist template that you might put together in Trello. The idea is that what we've done is that we have different checklists for the different phases of the workflow. So say we want to start with a listing appointment, go all the way through pre-listing phase. Sometimes a lot of steps involved in a pre-listing phase, an active listing, pending, and then closed. And so one of the really cool things that we like about Trello is that when you build out these different tasks, you can also link to the how-to if you want to. So you can have all in one place, basically like what has to happen to prep for a listing appointment, how to do it. You can sort of link to an SOP you've created or an operations manual or some other, tool right there directly in the step. And then if you have the paid version, you can assign a due date and then a person that it's assigned to. So it's really nicely centralized all in one place. And then here in the description section, we've seen people put some specific details about a property that might be helpful to have just kind of readily at hand. And you can also link here if you want to link to the listing photos or any other sort of documents related to the process, you can have it right in here. So what we do is basically create a copy of the template card for the property, like to put a photo. So it's really visual. And then as work your way through the different steps in the checklist. And as you go through the phases, you can then just sort of drag it along into the next stage, all the way through pending to closed, cue confetti. And then, at that point, you might want to move it to a different board of like closed properties for the year, closed properties in general. So these are templates we built out. Happy to go into greater detail or, set up a different time to talk about it if that's helpful for you. But we did it for the listing side. We did it for the buyer side. And then we've also done it for the open house checklist, sort of like a separate phase of the process. I see a couple comments. Great. Okay, Lena, you use amazing fields to keep the dates under the description section. Would you be able to show us what you mean here, how you've set it up? Because that's definitely definitely a great feature. We'd love to see.
Yeah, so Amazing Fields is a free power up that I use on mine. I don't know about anybody else, but let me see if I can pull something up and show, like on.
Misty, you use that also? You use amazing fields? Okay. So I've seen the custom date field, which is also a good one.
Yeah, so you can set up like your custom dates, and so after the description, it'll pop up amazing fields, and I use them differently for different boards. But like my actual listing dates are green, my expiration dates are red, just different things like that. And then I have a different set of dates, of course, for when they go under contract and things like that. I'm trying to find one and screen share with you.
That definitely takes it to the next level because so the custom date field, allows it so that when you take the card, you can see the date at a glance, but I didn't realize there was a way you could see it color coded and everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Do I have the ability to share my screen?
Share away, please. Great
Okay.
question.
Share my screen.
Hi, Maria. I didn't see you. Hi, Lucy.
Share. Hello. Hey. There we go. Okay. Can you guys see it now?
Coming through.
All right.
Okay, very cool. Yep, I see.
So yeah, it's Amazing Fields. It comes right after the description information. I have my tentative listing date, my actual date, my expiration date, and then I can also jump over the other one that I use it on are sellers under contract. Whoops, sorry about that, y'all.
Oh, it's okay. We still just see the original, the
Okay.
description and the image.
Trying to.
So if you close this out and you just see the card, how does it show up?
Oh yeah, so when I close the card, it looks like this.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and if I go to like my sellers under contract, it shows on the card right there.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I've got different color codes that I kind of, it helps me. The agent for this particular one that I'm showing right now, she's like that terrifies me. You just do what you need to do in there. And she may pop in on occasion just to see a date. And that's why it was so important to have the dates show up right here.
Yes.
Because if she can't get her calendar app to open or she's already doing something else, she'll just link over.
Yes. So that's one of the great features, I think, of Trello, is that it allows us to have that dashboard view, or at least the agents to have the dashboard view if they want to pop in and get, you can structure it so they get just the information that they absolutely need to see out in the field, sort of on their phone on the Trello app, without having to dig too much into the weeds. So especially if they're on the phone and need to answer a question with a seller, you can sort of customize it to make sure that that info is really readily available.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I know with due dates on cards, they can be organized, sort of like sorted by due dates. Is there anything that you can do is set up accordingly, like maybe a notification?
Yeah, well, I just use that top part for the set the date of the card, and I set it to alert me 72 hours before the due date of whatever contingency is coming up next.
Okay.
So it'll shoot me an email, and then I'll notify the agent 72 hour, 48 hour, 24 hour, just to keep it at the top of her head. And just let her know, hey, this is what we're doing. There's a couple of agents that are like, don't tell me anymore because, you're a professional nagger sometimes, but that's my job.
Right. Yeah. So it's also like, as we say, like, just according to how in the loop the agent wants to be about upcoming due dates. So you set those as notifications and they go to your email, and then
Yes.
that allows you to alert to the agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have Trello on my phone too. So if she asks me something and I'm out and about, I can literally just pop into the board on my phone.
Yeah.
And tell her.
I love that. Does anyone else want to share a way that they use it for listings or transactions? I know, Misty, you've set up some automations before that it could be kind of fun to share also.
Yeah, I'll show you. So I am a fan of the checklist, of course. Aren't we all? Show you this one. I've built templates here for each of the, I like them separated. When you're in the card, if it's too long, oftentimes you just get overwhelmed with the number of checklist items to complete. So I've separated them into each step. And then as it goes from pending to closed, or sometimes I've had clients who even have active cards before it's even pending. This particular client just starts at pending. As it moves through the stages, those next set of checklists get added. And so I just do that with these simple automations. And it feels daunting at first, but once you figure out how Trello sort of helps you define these, like I use the labels a lot. So the dark green is a seller label. So when the dark green seller label is added to whatever list, closed, for example, that's the trigger. And then it just says, what do you want to do with that? And there's so many in here. I've tried, I get a little like in a rabbit hole. I'm like, oh, I could do this, and then I could do this, and then I could do this. And I have to remind myself to keep it simple to start with. But oftentimes it's like, just move the card to either the top or the bottom, or move it to another list, or add another, in this case, like add another checklist. So I would add, the unfortunate part is you have to type it. So like this one would be like the proper closed checklist. And then once you save it, it'll like, congratulations, you did this, right? And then the automation works.
Confetti. I'm like, I don't know if it's like a dopamine hit or something, but I'm here for it.
But there's so many things you can do in here. It can feel overwhelming sometimes, but I found it to be super helpful. And you can also do automations with card buttons. So if there's something that you're doing recurring, set up a open house checklist more than one time, instead of coming in here, you can set the card button and say add card button. It'll say open house checklist, for example. You click the button, it'll re-add that same list over and over and over again, which has been helpful because, you know, properties aren't going as fast as they used to. So you might have to do more than one checklist at a time. And you don't want to undelete, uncheck all the ones you already did. So I found that to be helpful too.
Can you talk again about the card button? So how would you trigger? So you could set it up. So what triggers the checklist to be added then?
Yeah, let me just, so like, for example, I have this open house checklist. We do the same 5 times or these same things every time. So you could create a button and it's going to, let's see, create a custom button. That's what I did last time. Button. So my button name might be open house. And then the action would be add checklist.
Woohoo.
And now in theory, I should be able to see the open house button. I'm going to create a fake template here. Spencer's gonna be like, what the hell is all this stuff? That's not true because he never gets in here.
I was just saying, it's often our admin domain. This is our realm. Set it up how we want. They don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want it to be delicious.
I'm gonna delete this so that it's just easy for us to see. But here, I can just hit this button. Oh, of course I get an error.
Of course, because everyone's here with us right now watching.
Oh, because I called it the wrong checklist.
Oh, okay.
This is why I have 2 open all the time when I do this stuff, because it's just
Like on
helpful.
another screen. Because this was the point you were making before, right? It doesn't prompt you for what you want to add. You have to actually manually add it in. Oh, you
know
have
it. So it's called checklist in the open house checklist card. So that's where I went wrong. But in theory, I won't drag you guys through all this, but in theory, that's all you'd have to do is
push the add the button.
Push the button and it would add that checklist here. And in my experience, if you're going to have multiple of the same checklist, you just want to rename it. Once it adds here, you just want to rename it.
Like open house, whatever, September 21st or something.
Open house 10-10.
Yeah. And then I remember, I think, yeah, it was for Amber's team that you had set up. Not only does it add the checklist, but it also sends an email, right, to someone outside of the team, letting them know there's going to be an open house this weekend. So like in one fell swoop, because I think, yeah, you can just, you write it in that you want the email to go here. You can put the text of the email. In one fell swoop, you get to add the checklist and notify someone that there will be an open house on this date.
Yeah, I mean, Amber should say whether or not it's still working. It's been a while since we chatted. Are you still using it?
Yes, I am.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, so those are the ones like, right, it does take a hot minute to set it up, but then once you do, I mean, it's been there like a year. They've been using this for 14 months or something,
Yeah.
right? But still up and running, which is really,
It's those repeatable processes where you're really just telling, in this case, it was telling their social media person that they're having an open house. And so she just needed to create the social media post and she already had access to all of the assets that she'd need to use. It told her what the property name was and the date, and it's a couple clicks for Amber and she can move on with her day.
really good time saver. All right, anyone else want to share? And time is money, guys, and sanity, so it's not to be underrated. Anyone else want to share some? Ooh, Lena, you shared some Trello for Trello nerds. There's a How to Trello YouTube channel and email list by Brittany Joyner, Trello expert. That's super cool. So we can just, in our spare time, be learning all these different tricks and figuring out how to apply them. Angela, I see that you're here on the call. Are you open for sharing your screen a bit, showing us how you've done it?
You guys seem way more advanced than I am. I don't use any of the automation inside of Trello simply because well, is the automation that you use paid or on
Those
Trello, or is it
rules,
freebie? Because
those
I've
rules,
not used the automation.
yeah, I think the rules are freebies.
Yeah, because I'll have to look into that. I've done automation from our spreadsheets to Trello. Like we have a automation set up through a Zap setup. So anytime we have a presentation or a listing appointment scheduled, it automatically puts that on Trello because we use it for that as well. Uh, okay, I have 7,000 tabs open. Please don't anyone have a heart attack. That's how my brain
Zero
works.
judgment here. That's
I will show you this one though. This is this,
But-
yeah. This is the control brain for us. I use blue and orange just so I know whether it's a buyer or seller because I put them all in the same steps. So
yeah,
that way
so
it's
the
really
label,
easy.
yeah, so you have both buyers and sellers on the same board, and then you use the label function to have that visual
Right.
view of, right, what if it's a buyer or seller.
Right. Yeah. And also there's a little bit of a tell too when the because their
The
names
name versus
show
the
and not the
company.
address, but it's just kind of a visual so you can see. Because obviously with the buyer, you have a couple more due dates that are really strict. You know, you have to make sure inspections get done. Whereas a seller, you're like, yeah, whatever. If they miss their window, they miss their window. That's on them. That's not me. But I also use Trello for our virtual assistant. Um, so it looks like it's very bare bones, but the one cool thing, we haven't had a bunch of listing appointments because we moved to wholesale right now. But the nice thing about this is let's see if I have an automated one. It's been a little while. This is set up from Zapier, I think is it's a Zap from Zapier. But my agent will put in a Google form. He'll fill out all the information about the appointment. The details are still there in the form, but what I need for that to happen is this to be assigned immediately to a VA. So it's just the bare bones of the listing as far as what time, when he wants the prospectus to go out, what form he wants it to go out in. We do UPS mailings, we do email. Sometimes he just asks for a Dropbox because it's a same day appointment, and then we don't do. But the checklist is very bare bones. I also have a Zap set up to use the same Google spreadsheet information. It automatically adds it to his calendar, but we have to check because if you know anything like I do, automations are great, but only if they actually work every time. And for some reason they don't always. And that's just one of the things. So, you know, the checklist has simple stuff on it, like make sure the automation worked. It still saves time, but you just want to make sure the appointment gets there. And then the other things here are really, it's a static. There's no specialized information on here, which is pretty cool. And also I run all the CMAs. Our VAs don't, so they can check the card so they know that it's already in the Dropbox so they can finish off with the presentation. And we can leave notes down here. We don't do too much. We do a lot of chatting in WhatsApp too. But then as far as I do this for me too, this is my to-do list. Some of them are long-term, but it's literally just typed out what I need to get done. Some of them, none of them have due dates necessarily. I just check on them. And then when I do my assignments, aside from the automated stuff, the VA has a list. When I had two VAs, Candela was over here, and then I could assign it by person. Otherwise, I would just tell them to go over to the to-do list and check things out. So yeah, that's
Yeah, Lena just mentioned you can add the Google Drive power up and link the form to the card, which is
yeah,
great.
I'll have to look into that because I hadn't because I know that when we talked last several months ago, Google had just gotten with it that you could, oh, what was it? I can't remember, but there was something I was doing a Zap for that Google finally got on board. And now, because I'd rather cut out the middleman if you can, but I'll have to look into that too. Because I can't see chat right now. But yeah. But like I said, the color coded thing up here really appeals to my sense of what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're waiting. This one is a hot mess.
Yeah.
We're waiting on a first right to be released on this one, so it's got all red on it, which kills me. And this one we're waiting on something too for. I'm like, I don't like red. I don't like red on my.
Yeah, it's a good motivator. Try to get
Yeah.
that stuff, get that all
It gets-
moving.
it gets my attention. But yeah, you guys like I said, we're not super busy on the residential side right now. It's concentrated on the wholesale, which isn't my board. Somebody else controls that board. I just follow.
Nice. Nice.
But
Nice.
yeah, there's a lot of great features. I'm gonna definitely look into automation. I'm glad you said something about that because I did not realize that Trello had that much as far as automation goes.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So there are these power ups that, basically like independent vendors can create and you can add in, and some of them are free, and some of them are paid subscriptions. But then even just like integral to native to Trello are all kinds of automations with rules that you can have set up. One of the ones I have on my project board is just, like on Monday or at the start of each day, it's reorganized by due date. So the most recent one pops to the top because sometimes
that's nice.
Those lists get really long, depending on what the project is. And some, we're scrolling, we're all just like so tired of scrolling. So it pops to the top. So I make sure that doesn't disappear.
I only reshared because I noticed I didn't click on any of the cards to show you because like I said, when you said they get really long, I'm like, yeah. We don't do separate specialized lists. I just have them all together because this right here is the listing part, and then you run into actually getting it on my board and then or our listing service, and then we go right into actually we have an offer and what to do on all
and
that.
your
And
links also to your operations manual, right? That's where they generally.
We do both. We have text and video. So some of them have video tutorials along with the text. It just depends on which way it's easier. But then this is just like a link to our listing service, but it's there. So if you want to get to it quickly. And then I noticed that the VAs were having some issues with remembering all the steps. So I just put this on all of the cards. So they had a checklist of what you're supposed to do. You have to have the amendment, you have to have it signed, then you can change the price. We don't want to mess with that beforehand. But yeah, and then the email, but
and one of the motivations for putting this together, right, was hiring more VAs on the team. So we needed to like get the process out of your brain into a checklist form and then train kind of as people go. And so that's, especially it was one thing when everyone was like kind of in the office together, and now more and more we're all remote teams or hybrid or something. And so it's really helpful to have that tool where everyone can see what has been happening and also kind of like how it needs to be done.
Well, and then in downtime too, it's nice with the VAs. I'm just like, just work on the cards, work the cards and work down them and check the steps to make sure, we're in all the right places. But it's very helpful to have it consolidated, even though it's in the manual. It's good to have it here so they can see where we're at stepwise. And she's like, oh yeah, I can't remember what website do we order the real estate signs from, and then there's literally a link there. It doesn't, so then you don't have all your bookmarks up here.
Right.
That is going to go on and on and on forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is
that
just
was the thing. Yeah, we were finding like it's great to have an operations manual, but it sort of lives like outside the context of when it's actually used, and there is scrolling and it is sometimes hard to know like, well, is this what I'm looking for? So the idea of linking it to the step is that you really like get to the information, the correct information faster. And especially like those of us, we know there's multiple versions of something that exists. Okay, like this is the source of truth. Like the linked version is the correct version that we're all going to use. Really cuts down on a lot of confusion. For sure.
I'm waiting for Trello to catch up and make the text a little more editable in here because it drives me batty that I can't format the way stuff goes in here. Like the spacing's off sometimes. Like sometimes I'll get a double line space and you can't get rid of it in between words. But I haven't Googled in the last 2 months, but I every once in a while I'll do a Google search to see because it's a common complaint. Because I mean you can like do italics and you can change your font size or whatever, but you have no spacing rules whatsoever.
Yeah, Misty says she keeps a template in Google and paste it. Does that help you with the formatting? So it's like you have
sometimes it does.
Yeah, if you have the right formatting in the Google Doc and then you paste it in, it should be correct. But you're right.
I think
it's hard to
fix. The most annoying on it is when I go to put in either like the seller's info or my info for my buyer's agent. I love to copy and paste It's like when people do those nice little graphics in their email, that's great. It's very visual, but please put it in text for me because I can just straight up copy it and paste it right into here. I don't have to retype it. And that does work, but if I have to type it in this, so do I want to type it in Google and then copy and paste there and copy it into here? No. I just deal
Right.
with my OCD going crazy when I look at it.
Yeah, yeah. I was
But
gonna
yeah,
say, it does look fat, but it doesn't always seem that. I think it's just hard to fix if you haven't pasted it in. Yeah, once it's in
it
there.
is. Yeah, it is.
Lana says you can fix it using code. It's a pain. I like to copy and paste as well.
Let's
Yeah.
say, is it like HTML code or is it more challenging than that? I do know basic HTML, but it's the line break is the biggest problem for me. Like these are just single spaces.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I'm like, there's no reason to have a space in between each line. It's because I
Right.
typed it in and then hit enter and then it added an
And
extra
then it's just more
space.
scrolling later, and we've already established how we feel about
Right. Scrolling bad. Scrolling very
scrolling bad.
bad.
Time wasting. I'm wondering, thank you so much, Angela. I'm wondering, Shelby, if you would be willing to share. I think yours is set up similarly to Misty's, right? Where you have the checklists separate and as
Yeah.
cards. Yeah.
I don't know if I can share it.
One at the bottom. Yeah, thanks.
Focus yet?
It's coming through. Yes, we're there. We're good.
Okay, yeah. So it's set up very similarly. We've got a checklist for each step in templates. I don't know if everyone else does this, but so I'm the TC, but I have the agents take ownership of the cards up until it goes under contract. So they're the ones who fill out the pre-listing checklist templates or the buyer checklist templates. And so one of the automations that we use is once it gets dragged under contract, then I get an email that it's now under contract. So I start taking over at that point.
Nice. Okay, so when it's added to that list, because that's what we
Yeah.
call it, yeah, then you get that notification. So that's
Yeah.
the handoff point. Tag you're it.
Correct. And they'll add me as a member. We use Google Drive. That's actually been really helpful. I love the idea of the amazing fields because right now we have it where I'm just putting all the dates, the deadlines, like at the very bottom of the checklist. So it's really, that's a really cool suggestion to have that in the card itself, so I can just look at it. But other than that, we haven't implemented too many automations, though, to be honest, other than those few.
And so you're not added as a member. Is it automated to add you as a member when they put you in that list?
It's not yet. So I just get notified. But they'll I've told them to add me as one, but I wasn't aware that you could be added.
Yeah, I think that could be that's definitely one of the ones that you can have if you change lists. You can add the card. So it could save like a second of time. And again, it all adds up for sure. So yes, because if I recall correctly, you guys do use the chat feature at the bottom quite a bit about it. Can you show us like how does that kind of go back and forth? You tag each other or?
So we tag each other. And so once it gets under contract, I go through the checklist and I tag everybody in who has like whoever responsibility that is. And then we do mostly speak through here just to keep track of everything. We do have Hangouts and occasionally I'll message them there, but it just keeps everything on here so I can look back and see what's been done or what hasn't been done.
Nice and centralized for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
And we have our virtual assistant, our marketer, who is in on these as well. So we can communicate there as well for the marketing purposes.
Nice. Lena, did you?
Yeah. Do you use Slack or anything like that to communicate with the agents, or is it all just kind of Hangouts or Google Chat?
So it's either for the transaction specifically, we would use Trello. We do have a WhatsApp group as well, but that's kind of just like a group thing for all the agents. If I would say we barely use Hangouts, it's mostly Trello, just because I don't want to. It just keeps everything, like you said, centralized, and I don't have to look back and forth to see what if they need anything. If they just tag me in it, then I know that it needs to get done.
Got it.
I feel your team has like an unusually high buy-in of agents like willing to use Trello. How did that unfold? Like I know your parts of it, but what do you think?
The good thing is we've been a lot of our agents are newer, so we're getting them at the beginning. So we're saying like this is our process, this is how we're gonna do it. And at the moment, what I've been implementing recently is I've kind of figured out how to use CapCut, just rudimentarily. And I'm making videos, like tutorials, how to use Trello. And once I have those all uploaded, I'm going to attach them to the checklist so they can just go back and reference it whenever. Because, yeah, it is kind of hard to explain how to do it if you're not in it all the time. And like we're slow right now a little bit, so people might forget, so they always can reference those videos once I have them
Nice.
uploaded.
What tool did you say you're using to make your videos?
CapCut.
CapCut. Okay, because a lot of times we usually use like Loom to do the videos, and then sometimes because Loom will give you a transcript. So I've
Yeah.
seen people use, yeah, so you do like Loom, you get the transcript, you put in ChatGPT, you tell it to make steps, and then it's like the two together sometimes can be helpful.
Okay, yeah, I haven't used that one yet, but CapCut is pretty easy to use.
Same idea, yeah, for sure. Let's see, Angela, does your checklist I have a person assigned to each one when the template is first converted, or are you doing all those hand by hand or like by hand when you assign?
Yeah, I do this hand by hand.
I feel like some of them, when we had set up, would maybe like assign you some of the things, but since it's a different agent, a lot of the times there were a lot of gaps anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at some point, maybe just do it for each one. Because that could be another thing in the template. Yeah, you could have it assigned, but if it's going to change depending on what the agent is coming through. Yeah, so I think that is a really good reminder that, and we talk about this with one of the other teams I work with, the team Selena is on, right? When it's like we're a brokerage trying to implement certain processes and sometimes you do get like some kickback from the agents or some, resistance, but it's like if you just really like stand firm and this is our process, this is the best way we can serve you. Generally they can adapt and learn, right? Because they want to get a response quickly, they want to have that high level of service, and so if that's your best practice, then people can get on board for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I know because you guys have a marketing board, because we helped set that up, and maybe I'd like to see if Maria or Anne want to share the one from the wall group, or Whitney wants to share, and then we can also look at the version on Shelby's team also just for marketing purposes, right? So we could be in the listings and transactions and manage there, but there are other things in the scope of a lot of our jobs that entail like marketing or events or other kinds of projects. So it can be fun to see how, Angela showed her project board. I'd love to take a peek at a marketing board.
Yeah, Anne, are you available to do that? I tried to log in earlier and I can't get into the wall group, so I'll have to.
Yep, I can do that. Give me
Awesome.
one.
Thank you.
Yeah, because this is another fun one too, where the visual aspect of Trello is really appreciated.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Awesome. So this one is, I really want to keep it really, one moment.
Sure.
Someone's calling me.
Okay. No problem.
Okay. As I was saying, this is so simple. I mean, I want to keep this word simple. And this marketing board is composed of, I think, 5 to 6 columns. And they were just like my recurring tasks for the month, which I can just do like click on that template and then do create card from template. And then like, for example, I can do September 2024. And then it will create this one for me, which I can put a check on all of the tasks that I'm done for the month, and then just move it here in the in progress column for me to like make sure and then check whatever task I have done for that month already and what are the others that I still need to work on. And then I also put on the ideas column for me to put on any brainstorming ideas. Like there are some memes that I have that I've checked in Pinterest before, which I think I can post on the Halloween, on the Earth Day, some memes ideas, which I can post on our marketing or social media.
Nice.
And then any tasks here that needs clarification from Tammy or Maria, I put in here before I can proceed working on them. And any tasks that are in progress, wait, this is duplicate. And then any task that needs approval before I post them or before I send an email to a client, something like that. And just any task that I'm finished working on, are moved to this column here.
Mhm.
And that's it. It's just so simple. I just want to keep track on my task and make sure that I don't miss anything.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, there's the parking lot of ideas, right? Because if like before this, we'd have all these different things that would come into our head. And so this is like you have a place to put it, to store it so that you can get there, you know, when you need it, which is amazing. And then otherwise, it's the same principle as what we're doing for the listings and transactions where you move it through the flow, right? Like here needs plan clarification, you're stuck. Goes from like idea phase to maybe get stuck to being, you know, sort of completed and then all the way through to the end or needs approval. Let's see. We got
Sorry, I didn't realize my camera is turned off while explaining that. But
what
yeah,
happened? Oh, your camera. Yeah. Okay, we could hear.
I just realized it's turned off.
Yeah. Good to see your face. Let's see. Angela asked, did they actually look at the for approval? Like, does anyone on your team look at that column and, you know, move them through independently, or are you moving them once the agent approves?
In our case, what I do is I send it to Tammy through email or through a different platform. She have an option to go in and then check this board, but it might be easier for her just for getting it in her email or in a text message format.
And yeah, that's how she likes to receive information. So, and if she's already there, maybe it's like a quicker response than having to go to a different platform. Angela says she's in awe of people who can get their brokers to actually use the board. Yeah, I mean, it's like a different, you know, there's a different speed, maybe a different way of looking at information sometimes. I think, you know, on Shelby's team, like the team lead is like very like analytical sort of a mind anyway. And so he's like, oh, this is very reassuring to me to like be able to participate in this process. Whereas other people are like, that's overwhelming. I don't even want to go in there, you know, just give me the information I need when I need it. So I think it's also a reflection of just sort of how people think, right? And it's all in different ways.
This might be so where Anne could put in an automation for an email. As soon as it's moved to approval, it could send that email automatically for you so that you wouldn't have to go do it a second time. Even with the content, you wouldn't necessarily have to require them to come back into the board. Might be worth a try.
Yeah, so would it pull through like the content on the card? Could it potentially pull through the image? That's what I'm not sure.
And I think there's a content section within those automations. I've never tried that specifically, but I think so.
Yeah, that would be really cool, right? So as soon as you move something to that list, it could trigger that email to go out with the info. Angela said she got a picture of a handwritten CMA sheet again today. I think we're moving backwards. Yeah, it's like change is hard. Change is hard. And I think that's really been, you know, as we've seen, you know, we could design the best systems in the world, but if we're not like really supporting people in implementing them and showing the why, like this is why this is, you know, worth the change in habits, it's a lot harder to get that buy-in, for sure, and to get people to actually use it. Shelby, do you mind sharing your marketing board just to, I'm not sure if you use it as much or it's just more someone else on the team. We can just kind of see.
I don't use it as much, but I can share it, no problem. Okay, so we use it for our management side uses it as well. So we've got our, this should be ours. And I know that Tom does look in the approval, but he's really into Trello. He's the one that got us into all of that's our broker, so he definitely checks these.
Yeah, like it's just that the expectation, you know, the habits start from all the way at the top. It's a little helpful.
And then this is our management one.
Nice, yeah. So the same kind of an idea. I think because we also collaborated on building these out also, but it's sort of like you have your work in progress posts, and then as they make it their way through, and can kind of do it like content calendar style, right? Where it's like, okay, these are the different themes. On Mondays, we post this kind of content. Tuesdays, you can have different lists per like type of content, and then sort of plan it out that way. So it's another take. Otherwise, people are really like Google Sheets for that. But you know, if you're already in a tool, it's helpful to build it out. a little bit more. I'm happy to share what I use on a regular basis if that's interesting to anyone, because I'm currently a director of operations or fractional director of operations for a real estate investment company. So I have my board. And it's just like sort of fun to geek out together. So this is my to-do list. What I do with my main boss, like the head of the company. Oh, Misty, does anyone successfully keep Trello connected to Google Calendar? That's a really good question, because sometimes the way it's set up, you can set up it's like a one-way sync, but it takes 24 hours. So we've used the power up that we used. It might have been Shelby. Did we use it at all with your team? There is
Yeah.
a good power up for that. It's a two-way sync. I used to have it on my personal account. Do you remember what it's called? Plannyway? Plannyway?
I don't remember, but it does work. It shows up on my Google Calendar all the time.
Yeah, and then I can change. I think it's called Plannyway. This one. So I think it's this one. Yeah. So it's a two-way sync with your Google Calendar. So whatever changes you make in your Google Calendar, it changes it, yeah, on the cards themselves. So I had it in my personal one for my family, and for my family projects, I'd move it around a lot, and I loved it. After a while, it is a monthly fee. So you have to depends on how badly you want it. But it works super well. Okay, yes. So Angela was asking about this is just these like two arrows here, you can collapse it. So that, because these are like the projects that I don't do like every single day. So if I need to, I can check it, but I don't want it to take up like too much of my board and brain space. So I can collapse them like that. So what I do is I have, my like daily check-in with the team lead. And so he'll just brain dump a bunch of ideas, and I'm taking notes, I highlight them in yellow. And then those are my action items. Like anything that I have to take action on, I highlight in yellow in my notes. And at the end of our call, I create basically like a card per action item. So because same as what Misty was saying, like sometimes when it's all the way down in a checklist, it's a lot harder to see. So this is just really like one task per card. Pretty much, and yeah, Angela's saying would be nice not to have to scroll all the way to see the different columns. Yeah, so we really like this. This is free. You can collapse for free, which is very nice. And then yeah, so I just create a task per item, and then a lot of times whatever he said he wanted, if it's an email or whatever he said he wanted in the email, I just put in here. And if there's like a document it refers to, I link to here, so that then I can just, when it's time to take care of that step, I just refer to the notes right here, and then I can mark as complete and then just move to the done column, and it kind of disappears. So these are the ones I try to have sorted every morning by due date, because the ones at the bottom just get super, super hidden. And then I use the labels just as like, if there's a question I have to ask. So when we're checking in, either he brain dumps and I like take notes and highlight my action items and then put them in the cards. And I pull this up, and anything that's labeled blue, I ask him about and get my answers like in just one quick combo. So those, and then it can also have other tags for other people I have to ask questions to. But I really like the fact that we can like link to different documents in the description section. You can also link to specific emails. I don't know, just playing around with that at one point, but when you have the email open, I just take the URL and then I like link to it right in the description or something. And then I can refer back to that specific email about that task. So this isn't really for transactions, but if you, just want to keep yourself managed in terms of all the other like projects or responsibilities that you have, this is like a fun way to do it. Yeah, Lena says I love adding emails to the chat, to the card. Yeah, so it's really just copy the URL and stick it in there, and you're like, reply to this email with this thing. So it's just right there at your fingertips. I like to say it keeps me from having too many tabs open, but That would be a lie. I still have a million tabs. I probably have fewer thanks to this feature because I feel comfortable closing the tab because the link is stored in the card associated to the task. So, you know, it's a little bit easier to let go and close it. But yeah, that's how I've been using it and have fun. And again, I also like do it for my family projects because I just love it so much that I use it at home too. That's how I Trello. Okay. Anyone else want to share what they do, how they use it? Amber, I know you guys are big on labels.
Yes,
Work
we
in a
are.
couple different markets.
Yeah, exactly. We separate colored labels for Northern California and Southern California.
Yeah, so then it's like visually a lot, but do you use the filter with the labels? Like, do you filter it so that sometimes you only see Northern California deals or Southern
I
California
have, yeah.
to make it a little bit more manageable?
Yep.
Nice. Anyone else want to share anything that they do that they like that they want to know more about? I feel like I love Misty's question about keeping Trello connected to Google Calendar because that was like a big one, you know. It is so helpful to be able to sort of have those two platforms talk to each other. And the native integration is C minus. But there is a solution. Anyone else want to hop in with anything, or we get 7 minutes back and head on with our days if that sounds good too. All good?
This was awesome. Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, I learned multiple things that I'm going to be taking away from this and really, really enjoying and you know, hopefully saving time and at least having fun geeking out. So that's really great. Are there other tools that you guys think you would want to talk about, or maybe CRM? We've done, I think we did a follow-up boss one last year or the year before. We could do another, or Maria and did I see like you're moving to Brivity? I saw that.
We are.
You are, yeah. So we could
Mhm.
maybe organize some Brivity users together or follow-up boss users together. Anything else that would make someone's life easier potentially?
Yeah, CRMs would be great. I came out of Brivity and right now we've actually moved into something called Dubsado for CRM. So it's a whole nother game and it's not specific to real estate agents, but we can connect everything to it. So
Cool.
that's why we like it. But
Yeah.
yeah, any other CRMs that are real estate specific, I would love a workshop on that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we could try to do a CRM one. We could do, you know, one about other communication tools because that one comes up a lot, right? Like, do you use Slack? Do you use WhatsApp? Like, how do you organize communication around deals? So can also talk about that as well. It's another like kind of big pain point sometimes for teams. You can talk about, you know, Google Drive and all the like the G Suite and how to maximize that and our use of that and optimize it, or operations manual. So virtual assistants, Misty, do you want to?
I have not had a virtual assistant before, and none of my teams have, but almost all of them are starting to explore it. And so it's one of those like best lessons learned before you get there. What would you like to know before you get started, you know?
Yeah. Maybe if Anne and Maria are willing to come back to talk about their relationship, we can maybe have Joyce, who's been with us 4 years next week, or it's October 2nd is her 4-year anniversary. We can maybe have, Selena, we could have AC on, because I'm just thinking of some like famously successful VA partnerships, and it would be really interesting to see from both sides, like what, you know, from the VA side, what is it like what sets you up for success, and then also, you know, on our end, what we can do. I remember when we got Joyce, it's like, oh, I'm not really sure what she can take care of, and spoiler alert, it was like almost everything I was doing, and so then that freed me up to, you know, just do different kinds of work in the business. So it can be a really great partnership. Yep. And then end of year goal planning would be helpful too. That's another really good another really good topic. Maybe we can bring Kathleen in for that also. Okay, amazing ideas. I feel like we're gonna have a full content calendar for the rest of the master classes for 2024. Thank you all so much for your time, for your
Thank
willingness
you.
to share. Your time is precious to us. Your expertise is so valuable. And I'm just really grateful to be able to spend this hour together. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.